Missing felt paper on top of the roof sheathing.
How do you say, I have been poisoned by my house.
I'm pretty sure the framer that worked on this home had no idea what they were doing.
Look at all these termite tubes on this new build.
This is their idea of a floor support system for the fireplace above. Wait till you see that. There's no way that this is supporting that. They gotta talk to an engineer about how to support these engineered floor joists. That's it. Yeah, right. Not carrying that. They attached engineered floor joists to another engineered floor joist, threw in some joist hangers and realized there's nothing to nail to, so they just left it. Great, that's gonna fall. There's mold growing all over the sheathing in the basement.
Whoa, brand new house. Look at that. That leads directly to the attic.
Never buy a new build house without knowing these things first. There are a lot of problems with buying a new build house. There's a lot of issues, a lot of things you got to check the box on, or you could wind up regretting the entire situation. In this video, we're going to talk about these things, and we're going to get right down to it. What you need to know to not lose thousands of dollars. Let's go.
So, y'all want a new house? A new build? See, this is still on the final stages. Brand new house, 1 second. So this customer is having issues with mice. Brand new. Over here by Sea Road area. Check this out. Ready? 1, 2. Peekaboo. 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 Look at that. Hey. My whole hand fits through there. Mice go directly in there. Look at that one over there. 1 second. So y'all see that? Perfect, right? Now look at this. Whoa! Brand new house. Look at that. That leads directly to the attic. This is why we always check the AC lines. Look at this. Mice are going through this AC line, going into the attic, and they're working their way to the house. Don't know. Look at this, guys. Whoa! Look at that. My whole hand fits through there. I could get all the way to my elbow if I want to. Look how big that is. Wow. Builder error, guys. This eave should be flush to the shingle, but they leave a gap, so we gotta get it sealed up. New house, they say. Buy a new house. So.
Patio roof is missing right 2025 new build construction. This is a final inspection. Let's go check it out. Downspouts on the second story sidewall are loose and not secured to the brick. Missing felt paper on top of the roof sheathing. Patio roof is missing counter flashing details. Here's what the pressure washing crew did inside the garage. No need to test that for moisture. Downspout elbow is bent. And here, I forgot to install the downspout. Fiber cement trim around windows is improperly installed. That side trim should be continuous past the bottom. HVAC unit in the attic, the primary condensate drain line is poorly insulated. And as you can see, it is dripping condensate to the subfloors below. Primary bathroom shower drain is clogged. Commode lid in the spare bathroom is damaged. Here's the finished steps on the stairway. Holes where the pin nails were overdriven were never filled and sanded. And that is every step. Exterior electrical panel or first means of disconnect. Knockout is missing a filler. Also, the breakers aren't labeled.
This is a prime example of why you always get a home inspection. You always get proper representation, whether it's a good real estate agent and having your own real estate agent instead of using the builders. I tell you, I've had some of the worst experiences with buying new builds. As a real estate agent representing people, you see them do all kinds of stuff. It is one of the only places, just because it's new does not mean it's going to be free from error. You got a lot of things that went on with a house to build it. A lot of overlapping contractors and experience to get to that point. You better make sure you get a home inspection and inspect everything before closing. Yeah, most home builders will offer a 1-year warranty or a bumper-to-bumper warranty to fix these things, but you got to catch them. And you don't want to catch them after the 1 year, and then you're just out of luck. Better off catching them before you even close on the deal. And real estate has a lot of problems. We're going to talk about them as we go through these videos. And a lot of things need to be changed. It's one of the only industries where they can be the real estate agent, the builder, title company, and the mortgage company. And how that's legal, I do not know. How can you do all that? And use your own contract, and they call that fair. The game is rigged against the buyer. I'm just going to go on and tell you that right now. You better have your own representation. Good representation. Oh, I see this coming. I see it coming. Poor guy, man.
Yes. They attached engineered floor joists to another engineered floor joist, threw in some joist hangers and realized there's nothing to nail to, so they just left it. Great, that's gonna fall. There's mold growing all over the sheathing in the basement.
I thought it was interesting, construction mold. A lot of these houses are left out in the rain as they're building them, no roof on it, and they just sit out there. Subfloors, everything, they will get mold on them. And then they're going to put the outside of your house on around that mold, and most of the time it's not going to dry out. And that's what's in your walls. And this is a fairly common thing. We're going to see a lady at the end of this video that when she moved into her house started getting very sick from the mold that was in the lumber. And you got to get these mold inspections. Make sure you're getting them. And if you're looking to buy or sell real estate, I'd be happy to help you. If you're looking for an agent anywhere in the country, I'd be happy to find you one. And if you're on the Gulf Coast of Florida, Alabama, and you're looking for a real estate agent, I'd be happy to represent you. My email is down below in the description box, and I'll probably put it in the comments thread. And let me know if you got any questions.
The normal amount of construction mold is one thing, but this is riddled over the entire floor system in the basement. It's got to get cleaned up. I mean, you can see it everywhere,
yeah, you
really.
can see it everywhere. And I showed it to him months ago and said I had a concern about it.
Yeah, it was growing pretty heavy.
Oh,
I mean,
it's a lot better.
not be growing so heavy right now. But
No, it was worse.
Yeah.
It was a lot darker.
Wow. Not good for a brand new house.
No.
And for OSB sheathing.
He said that it would make the
This top step is about 1.5 inches bigger than the rest. The homeowner broke his toe.
My thought was
Big
to
surprise.
take this railing and mirror it down here once.
Temporary support post that they threw in because they forgot to put a lolly column here. Oh my gosh. At least they didn't forget this one. But the temporary support post is going to go. They need a lolly column.
Those are the kind of things that when you go to get them to fix it after the fact, it's not happening. One, I don't even know how I got a certificate of occupancy with something like that. You just see these random things that are major things, and once you close, it's going to be yours, okay? Getting them to come back after the closing is very hard. Only a good builder is going to do that, especially something major. And don't try to go after the permit department either, because they're going to be hands off of this stuff. Those county inspectors aren't going to be anywhere near it.
This is their idea of a floor support system for the fireplace above. Wait till you see that. There's no way that this is supporting that. They got to talk to an engineer about how to support these engineered floor joists. That's it. Yeah, right. Not carrying that. This is the outside deck area. The posts and the rafters and the beams are not attached by anything. Maybe a couple of toenails.
I don't see how that didn't collapse. I mean, I don't even know how that basic framing would be called, hey, this is going to support this. I mean, you need major wood underneath that. Major wood.
But otherwise, it's just gravity holding everything together. They put a couple of finish nails in for the angle pieces. And yeah, those might just be for looks, but there's nothing supporting any of this stuff. A good stiff breeze is going to knock it down. Oh, man. And that was just a taste of the issues that I found at this.
When you pull up to a new build like the one behind me, and the project manager already has the doors unlocked, and he's waiting for you, and the first thing he says is, I'm not even sure why the client's even ordered a home inspection, but she's all yours. Let's see if this house is in good a shape as he thinks it is. We got a great tankless water heater plugged into this power outlet, but this outlet is not testing as GFCI protected. All exterior receptacles should be GFCI protected, even if they're supplying a water heater.
I realized that
So we
Satan
got two AC units,
is an evil
one for the upstairs, one for the downstairs. At the registers for the downstairs, we're getting about 63 degrees coming out of each register, roughly about 63. At the return air, we got about 73 degrees going into the return. And upstairs is not a whole lot better. Registers are showing about 65, 64 degrees, cooler temperatures coming out, like 65. And at the return air, we're about 72.
You know, one of the biggest ones I see on these new builds is the AC, the returns, the drops, everything not being mathematically correct. There's a formula of how AC is supposed to work in a house. You get too much AC coming in at one time, you get humidity, you get too little, you don't get it to cool. And there's a time frame of when AC should ramp up and come down and provide a good atmosphere. There's some legit math on this stuff. And if yours is wrong, that's why you contact a professional about this stuff. Always ask HVAC guys, home inspectors about this stuff, because that's how you wind up with mold. That's how you wind up with a house that the AC is always running. It's never cool. It's hard for it to keep up. And you're buying those AC units, okay? And let's say your house has two. That's some major money. We're talking $20,000, $30,000 to replace two AC units. And if you've got ducting problems or whatever to fix it, this lady later on this video, she had an AC unit that wasn't installed properly, wasn't formulated properly for her house, and she had massive mold problems because these houses are airtight now. They don't breathe like the old houses. So when you've got stagnant air and it's hot, you get mold. We'll add a little moisture, mold.
Ideally, there would be about a 15 to 20 degree temperature differential between the air going into the air handler and then the air coming out of these supply ducts. Look how hot this attic access is. Almost 90 degrees. That ain't gonna help. I got no clue what this switch controls. Fireplace don't work. Huh. Looks like we missed a toilet. Why are all the can trims popped down? And same with these. On a golf course, though. Do light bulbs come with this light? Guess not. Oh, Jiminy Christmas. That sticks a little bit. Here at this condensate line, we got water backing up to the top here. It's gonna start filling this area up. We better get this draining. There is a hump in the floor right here. That's why you get a home inspection.
Hey, if you see humps, slopes, cracks in a house, you got to ask some questions, okay? One, if they are missing that hump on a new build, what else are they missing? And why is the hump there? Is the house got some kind of problem in the slab? If it's an off-grade house, is it got some kind of subfloor problem, substructure problem? The joists aren't done right. Like you can spot these problems by seeing these things. And that's why you have these home inspectors come through, spot, hey, there's a hump. You might want to get this checked out, and then you go from there.
Stand up for yourself. Real estate is in need of a giant reset button.
This is when it comes to builders and what the hoops they make you jump through as a home inspector to try and negate us from doing inspections, which in return hurts you as the buyer.
There's something about these builders that you really need to know. I pull up to the house, and as soon as I get to the house, the agent for the builder that I don't want to name comes down the driveway and says to me, do you know the rules? And she's like, no getting on the roof, no getting on the attic, no opening the electrical panel, and you have 1 hour. And we need the report today. So these people are paying full price.
They do the same thing to real estate agents, okay? They have their own contracts, or they want their agents to represent you. They want to be directly in contact with you. Trust me, I sit in meetings with a lot of these builders, the agents from the builders, and I see their tactics. And trust me, if you don't do this every day, like a real estate agent does, you're going to get swept up by these builders. And they have so many ways to get you. It is not even funny. Then we move over to the home inspector, and then the obstacles they put on the home inspector. When the market was booming, they would say, well, if you don't like it, we'll just put it back on the market and raise the price. And what are you going to say to that? I did one deal one time. It took 90 days to close this deal, and the house was built. Wound up, we couldn't get a certificate of occupancy to close the deal because they didn't have an attic hatch. The attic hatch was not delivered. So we had to postpone another 2 weeks. Then we get in there and there was a pipe that busted. And then there was one thing after, then there was a bunch of sheetrock damage. It was bad. We had to blue tape all the sheetrock damage. So we were at day 90, and then the rate lock was changing. And at that point, the interest rates were moving up. And he was going to lose his rate lock. The builder was in no hurry to fix these things because they knew that if we bounced out, they would raise the price on the house, put it back on the market. And you were at this situation where you got it under contract basically when it wasn't even half built. And you were hoping that you could get them to fix it all and during the transaction. But you didn't realize that on their side, they were like, well, you know what? We'll just drag our feet until they bounce out and we'll raise the price on it. That's the hard problems that go on. And if the buyer would have just been represented by their agent, there was no way they would have known what was going on. And I was screaming at the top of my lungs during this deal, like the foul that was going on. And ultimately my client was like, I can't not close on this house. And so what are you to do? You know, you can only suggest the best things possible. You try to mitigate all the problems, possibly document everything, and you hope you can work it out and it's not too bad. But these builders have way too much power, way too much.
Price for an inspection designed to protect them, and the builders doing everything they can to make it as difficult on us as possible.
If there was ever an industry in this country that is in bad need of complete reform from the ground up, it is real estate. And let me tell you, I just got a phone call from my neighbor this morning where he said, hey, Preston, my daughter's buying a house. They really have to get out of their apartment. They're buying this place and everybody is telling them that they don't need an inspection. The mortgage broker told them they don't need an inspection. He said, if you get an inspection, it's going to open up a big can of worms and you may not get your mortgage. You should just waive your inspection and buy the house. It's a really nice place. And then they're getting the same information.
If an agent tells you that, red flag them, okay? You might not get your mortgage. The only way that, if we'll say it's a conventional loan, especially if they're doing it, you talk to a lender, but I have to say that because of, you know, the rules. But if it passes a 4-point, and most of these new builds, you're probably not going to even need a 4-point. If you're getting a mortgage, it's going to have to be appraised. The appraiser is going to walk through and make sure it's not collapsing. Going to make sure that there's a floor in it and things like that. Now, as far as inspections, you're going to have one for insurance. You're going to have, you know, a 4-point. And some of the new models, new builds, they are not requiring a 4-point because they're so new, right? And they're just relying on the whole process. But as far as the mortgage, talk to your lender. But as far as the mortgage, most of the time they're not even going to see the inspection unless it's like a VA loan, and then they'll see the WDO. So you just got to know the process. Work with your real estate agent. Work with your lender and do what they tell you. But don't just hear one thing and think that is. Do your own research. Go out there. That's why you need a professional outside of the deal. You need your own real estate agent from another brokerage. And I want to say this too. Every state is different. My state's probably different than your state. Get an agent that's in your state. And sometimes some of these things change by state. So when you're doing your own research online, sometimes you can be wrong. Google is wrong sometimes, especially with real estate. And, you know, when it comes to real estate agents and it comes to the lending process and it comes to insurance and it comes to inspections, it's all state specific. So make sure you get your own professional. There's a lot of scare tactics in real estate, and a lot of it comes from the other person just not knowing. So an agent, if they're worth their salt, would never recommend not getting an inspection. That word would never come out of my mouth. I would say you need to get an inspection, and usually they'll say I don't want an inspection. But you always have to, you need to say I want a WDO inspection for termites. Yes, on a new build, you will see in this video somebody with a new build and termites. You want a 4-point and a full-blown home inspection. You want somebody on the roof, and if they say you can't get on the roof, throw another flag. I don't know how many nails I've seen out of place, how many flat pieces of flashing that are on there. And at the beginning of this video, you saw one that didn't even have the roofing vapor barrier liner underneath the roof to begin with. And you've got to make sure somebody's documenting all this, because when you go to complain to the builder, you got to have some documentation of what you're saying. And having a home inspector's itemized list to say this is what's wrong with the house, time and date stamped with a license number, builder fix it. This is why you need home inspectors.
Information from their realtor. Realtor said, yeah, it's a nice place, just buy it. You don't need an inspection. I'm trying to tell him on the phone, this is a really bad idea. And he says, yeah, but they got multiple offers, and they told her that they're not going to entertain any offers with inspection contingency.
So I don't know about that. I've heard a lot of blowhard ideas of, well, we're not going to entertain a home inspection and contingencies and right to inspect, cancel. I will say this. When a real estate agent, let's say for a builder, has 3 offers there, and one has no home inspection and it's ready to close, and they have one that does, they're probably going to take that one, the one that doesn't. It's like one of those parts of a deal. The fewer contingencies on a deal to go through, it's common sense that the agent on the other side would recommend the seller take that deal. That's any deal. Now, the problem was that, this is macro here, the problem was there was so many people needing houses at that time. There was so much competition for the house, supply and demand. And anytime a house bounces out of contract and goes back on the market, a seller's going to lose money. Holding costs, insurance, taxes, maintenance, things that go on, just paying the agent. There's a lot of things that goes on with this, and you can't just build a straw man argument, no home inspection, bad, change law. Yeah, there needs to be some guidance, and I think the best way to do it is you pressure the real estate agent, the licensee, to say, you can lose your license if you pressure somebody to not have a home inspection and they want it. And if a client says, Jack, I want a home inspection, we're gonna put in there home inspection. And I think that you should do that in your real estate deal anyways. Write in, I want a home inspection, right to inspect, cancel. And if you don't get the house, you don't get the house. Okay? You don't buy a lemon because you just want a house. You make sure you buy a good house. Go on to another deal. There's another one down the road. Be very careful with this stuff.
And I'm just thinking to myself, like, this is a dirty trick. Like, of course they're all going to tell you that. But then he said the house is listed for $275,000, but they're willing to accept $220,000. I thought they had multiple offers. I thought this was a super hot market. I thought that this was like a desperate situation. Why are they dropping the price, right? So here's what I know about, on my side of the country and in many other areas, this is now standard operating procedure. Listing agents are just going to say, we have multiple offers. We're not going to accept any offers that come with an inspection contingency. And I honestly don't know how that can be. I'll
tell you. State of Florida, Alabama, where I'm at, and this is the shysterness of the business. And I do agree with him that real estate needs to be reformed. The whole real estate agent world needs to be reformed, so along with NAR and FREC and all of them. I'll say that till the cows come home. But they have built in this thing where when there's an offer, an agent is not allowed to tell the other side what it is. And it's basically like bidding in the dark. And I hate it. And what some of these agents will do, you know who you are out there. And I always say it's the older agents that have been around a while. They will get a verbal offer, or they'll get a contract in their desk drawer. And that will be what they'll go off to say, we have multiple offers. It could be a crap offer. It could be a lowball half price offer. But now they have multiple offers. And you say, well, how many offers you got? Oh, I can't tell you that. Well, what's the offer? I can't tell you that. And so back during the you know what, when the housing prices are going up, many of these agencies, to keep up with the bid up, were doing escalation clauses. And they would write in, we'll match your offer by $5,000 increments up to a certain amount if you can show me a contract. And what they do is they just blot out the personal information. And it was one big facade. And I don't know how many times that I put in an offer and they're like, well, it's multiple offers, Jack. I'm like, I don't care. Present mine. And here's another one. How do you force them that you presented the offer? Okay? Like, they'll be like, oh, well, you must present the offer. You know how many agents I just saw never respond? Or they would get back to you 5 days later when the offer's expired. They drag their feet. They just flat out lie. And another thing is in the real estate world, and this is the stuff I'm trying to teach y'all. I'm teaching y'all this so you know what's going on. If it's not in writing, it didn't happen. So they'll always talk on the phone. They'll say it. They won't ever write it. And this is how this stuff gets kicked around. And there's no way for the seller to actually know if the offer got to me. That agent could just kick it. And I used to call it boxing out. I did a lot of videos 2 or 3 years ago about this. Go watch those. And I would say they box offers out. So if an agent gets an offer that they know they're going to double side, and they get this other offer, or it's coming that is not double-sided. It could be just, the buyer's agent's bringing the buyer instead of double-siding where she brings the buyer and, has the seller, gets 6% versus 2.5%. They'll just, close the deal off real quick. Or they'll not respond to your offer. Or they'll pick something in the contract that their contingencies didn't make it as good of an offer, so they take the one where they've double-sided. Happens a lot. And I blame the real estate world for the way in which you can prove this stuff. It's like without a deposition and a subpoena and going into the agent's inbox and deposing the broker, it's hard to prove this stuff. And this is what goes on. There's a lot. I could go on for days about this stuff.
But it is, and it's happening. There are some states that are passing laws and working towards legislation to stop this, like right to inspect laws, which I think are the good answer. But I've reached out to legislators, I've reached out to politicians. It just falls on deaf ears. They simply don't care. These are the biggest purchases of people's lives, and they are having to go in blindly and buy these money pits with huge problems. Then you look at what's happening with new builds. So maybe, just maybe, people opt for buying a brand new house so they don't have to deal with that crap, right? Except on the new builds, go look at my buddy Brent Fletcher, Inspector Fletch. Go look at Sean Mizell. Go look at AJ. Look at all these new builds and what the builders are doing right now. Get this. What the builders are doing is on one side, they're talking out both sides of their mouth. They're telling their customers who are buying these brand new builds, they're saying, yeah, get an inspection. It's a great idea. Get an inspection. Then when they find an inspector, the builder is putting all these requirements and all this burden on the inspector. Oh, you have to get $1 million liability to be there. We got to have your health insurance information. So they have this pile of things. And I just heard from Brent that one of the builders is now telling him that he has to carry $1 million policy on his vehicle to drive there. What? I told Brent, I said, just Uber to your inspection then, or park on a public street and just walk in with your tools. He goes, nope, I told him that. I told him that I would just walk to the inspection, and they said, no, you can't do that. And I'm just thinking to myself, how do the builders have any authority at all? Now, here's the bottom line of all of this. The buyers are the problem right now. You guys are falling for all these tricks, and you're not doing anything about it. If I were buying a brand new home, and the builder was making it as hard as possible for my inspector to look at it, I would be raising holy hell with that builder. I would be on the phone screaming at him. I'd be backing out of that deal and getting a refund. But we don't. We act like houses are this desperate thing that we have to have, and it's causing us to fall for these dirty tricks and to get into these huge, huge money pits.
It really boils down to having an outside agent that's not part of the builder, getting a home inspection, and navigating the contract the best you can with the best agent you possibly can. One that's sold a lot of new builds. Every one of them have their own nuances, whether it's luxury new builds or it's just random middle of the market new builds. But to add insult to injury on this, these builders will come to these local real estate agencies, the brokers, and they'll be like, we're giving a $20,000 bonus on top of a 3% commission, or we're doing this and we're doing that, or if you sell 6 of our properties, you get, you know, X and Y bonus. And they butter up the agent so hard and that shows you what the margins are on these houses. They butter up the agent so hard that nobody questions this stuff. They just want you to go along with it. And you got to find somebody that is willing to put the screws to these doggone builders in a transaction. And you can do it. But you got to know their contracts, because they have their own contracts. Like here in Florida, we have the FAR bar contract, and we know it backwards and forwards. But when you get into a builder's contract, they hold the high ground at all times. Remember that. It's really hard to navigate them.
Look at all these termite tubes on this new build. If it's been treated for termites. So you can see here, they have the final grade box checked and the post-tension box checked. My complaint is this is a post-tension slab, and they're coming up the middle of the home, probably from the slab penetrations.
I tell you, termites are one terrible little critter, and they can show up in the most random places. I mean, they can go up a tree limb and into your house. They can go over a rock, past the concrete, over another rock, and down the stick that goes into your like touches your house. They go to the most random places, and once they're in, like he said, they're going up the tension cable in your slab, and then they just show up in the middle of the house. And if you've ever seen a house get sprayed for termites, like when they're building them, sometimes they spray and it looks like that green stuff along the bottom. Well, if they go up the tension strap and they come up in the middle and they show up in your closet, they never touch any of that stuff. And so that they could be, my buddy showed a $3 million house the other day, and those termites all in the closet. And it showed up on the home inspection. Hey, did you know those all these termites in your closet? And they're like, no, we didn't know that. And it was like, they just showed up in the most random place. Same thing with like any type of bugs, whether it's roaches or ants. I showed a house on the beach the other day, and it had carpenter ants. And they were coming up the palm tree, and the palm tree had a leaf that was on top of the roof, and they would come off onto the roof, and then they'd go down into the house and just start chewing on stuff. Wild.
Does someone want to tell me how they're going to get to their front door? How in the world? Look, neighbor, them.
So, about a year and a half ago, I bought a brand new house. It's like a dream home for me, you know, and little did I know how it would ruin my life. This is not normally how I look or sound. I have been poisoned by my house. My story is so crazy, everything I've experienced with this new build. But if I could share something with you, is that watch the process of your new build and check your AC by your AC guy, not theirs. My house has mold in it. I am so sick here. I'm stuck in this house. I have almost a 9% interest rate, and $3,000 of my mortgage goes to interest every month. My house, they forgot to put the vapor wrap or barrier wrap in it. My AC was installed wrong. Oversized unit with exposed holes everywhere. My whole house was built with moldy lumber. Every night, I sleep on my couch. These are my couches. I'm sick of it. I can't sleep in any of the rooms because I can't breathe. My throat hurts every day. I have the most insane symptoms every day from the mold exposure. I find myself getting off the couch to go outside to get fresh air because I can't breathe the air in here anymore. I get to a point where I can't handle it. I would have never thought this would be me. It could be anybody. It's actually really common with a lot of these new builds. They just throw them up so quick, and they do such a crappy job installing the AC. I mean, you're doomed if your AC is oversized for your space, because mold will start to grow in your house. Needless to say, through this whole horrible experience, the builders have tried to cover it all up, remediating and covering it up. We found the mold again today, and I'm suing my builder.
I tell you, if you're looking at a build, I would suggest go through and during the framing stage and watch it. You know, go through every week or so and see if they're leaving the lumber out into the rain. And then when you get it under contract, during your inspection period that you should have wrote in, we've been talking about, that you do a mold inspection. We did one the other day on a house, cost like $300. Found out we're good to go. But when you've got moldy lumber in the house that's been sealed up and now it is airtight, and you've got an AC unit that is, say, overpowered, getting a lot of humidity in there, you start getting a pretty nasty environment. The house can't breathe. The mold just gets worse and worse and worse. But if you would have got that mold inspection prior to coming in and that home inspection prior to coming in, you would have documented proof and you wouldn't have closed on that house. So I say blame your agent and then make sure you get home inspections. This stuff is not something to be played with, because let's say she's got to move out of this house while the builder fixes it. She's still paying the mortgage. Okay, her insurance, I don't think, is going to cover a mold problem. And then the AC ducts, the AC units, to get that fixed, what happens if they don't want to fix that and you've got to fix it? There could be major incurred costs that you didn't think you would have on a new build. You're hoping with a new house that you don't have to fix anything, but you got to go about mitigating risk. And in real estate, it's all about mitigating risk, and we do that with inspections.
It's not good. I'm pretty sure the framer that worked on this home had no idea what they were doing. And it is absolutely everywhere.
I mean, in this house, we're seeing massive framing problems. We're seeing massive just failure on the builder to get anything right. And how they got this far in the entire process without the building inspector flagging it, you got to ask yourself questions. First thing builders do is they butter up inspectors.
This framing has been done so poorly that I don't even know where to start to get it fixed. Whoever did it was completely uneducated in what they were doing. There was a definite lack of pride. Lumber's not even in square, plumb, crooked studs everywhere, unfastened studs, missing hangers, missing nail plates, walls that are square, framing that's just, yeah, I don't even know what to talk about it. You know, 2 missing hangers above my head here. Everywhere you look, there's something.
I mean, that's why you got to have that pre-drywall inspection, framing inspection, have a home inspector go in there, because it is astonishing that how are you going to fix this? Like, how are you going to fix this without taking the entire house back down? And then who's going to pay for that? And then you got to worry about the builder going bankrupt in the middle of it and skipping out with your money. You know what's crazy is I bet the inspectors passed this house. I bet you they have a green sticker somewhere saying they passed it. But what they do is they just say, oh, well, we'll just hang it on the contractor's license. Or we'll just, well, that's Joe, and he builds houses, and I'm sure he's got it right. We'll go ahead and sign off on it. Then you close on your house and you find out the side of the wall's cracking, or the brick is falling off and cracking because the house is settling or twisted or out of plumb. Nothing is plumb in the house or level. And you go back on the builder and they're like, well, they signed off on it. You go to the city and the city's like, well, you know, I don't know what to tell you. Sue the builder. and then who can afford to sue the builder? This is how they skirt this stuff, and you got to be really careful.
I'm up in the attic. This is a new house, probably about a year old, and I got a call to come out here because the homeowners say they've not been feeling well and they're worried about possible mold. So I did a mold inspection for them. Here I am up in the attic, and the minute I stuck my head up in here, check this out. I don't know if you can see that. See all that organic growth? This house is a year old. So they followed their gut. They went with the inspection. Now I'm trying to figure out what would be causing this in a brand new build, because everything seems to be sealed up tight. The roof looked great and all that good stuff. So as I'm looking around the attic, I started noticing, see that cut line and the discoloration and all the insulation? Well, what's right above that? That's, right where two pieces of the roofing material meets, and moisture is getting in here and dripping down. So it's possible they didn't get that properly sealed. Well, hopefully they can get out there, they can get the builders out here and they can get it corrected, but...
I mean, it's good they caught it, and I recommend getting up in your attic once a year, or crawling under your house once or twice a year, and you'll see these random things that you could stop before they get bad. And, when you build a house, things do happen. Sometimes you do miss stuff. I mean, sometimes a roof just leaks, especially around snow. And by getting up there or getting a home inspection every year or every other year and say, hey, tell me what's wrong with my house so I can fix it and solve some of the maintenance problems I'll have down the road. And, of course, something like this, it could happen. I mean, things do happen, but you gotta do some risk mitigation. I actually saw that with a Tesla plug the other day, burned down half the house. Be careful with that stuff. It's rats. That's settling problems.
Yeah.
Big cracks, big problems. Little cracks, but you don't want them in your brick. Yeah, that's settling problems. Get rid of that house. Move on. Ooh. Nope. Oh, man. When you're seeing little issues like this, there's big issues. When a foreman didn't walk the yard, when the site manager didn't go around and look at these things before he let the home inspector in, it means there's other problems underneath those walls. Little problems that are blatantly in your face are just question marks for the rest of it. Always remember that. Don't need a new tub. Ooh. I mean, those are the things they would see walking around the house. Like, why are these things like this? Small stuff. Hey, rats. You don't want rats in your house. I guarantee you they're eating wires. They're chewing on the PEX. Not to mention it's bad for your health to have all that manure in there. It's underneath your tub. I forgot to install the toilet.
They knew I was coming. Let's see how they did. Brand spanking new. They haven't even moved in.
Already mold in there. Isn't that wild?
The original inspection would have had fungal growth on some of the framing members of the attic. And this is their solution.
Yeah, they're just putting kilts all over it.
Use painting kills or whatever the moldicide is. You can kind of see some of it right here. They didn't quite get all of it.
That's why you got the mold. Especially in a sealed attic. See, missing shingles.
They've done a pretty good job sealing all the fasteners.
Fasteners, flashings, nail heads.
At least on one side of the roof. Down here.
Not even taking the plugs off the bathroom vents. And you're wondering why your toilet won't flush?
Down there. Down there. All the easy places, they pretty much got it. Oh yeah, here, this is an easy one. They missed it here. And,
I mean, these things just go on and on. This is just more reasons why you get a home inspection. I mean, like, look at this one. They're totally missing.
There's so many trusses in this attic, like you're gonna worry about that one that's knocked out of whack. It's not even that bad. Well, look at that one. Yeah, that truss connector's not really holding anything, but still.
Just missing connectors everywhere.
You worried about that one?
They're everywhere. And most of these things are almost coming from the factory, pre-made.
Now that missing one? Okay, that's on us. That's on us. We should have had one there, but still, that's not that bad. Sure, that one could have been put on a little bit better. And the one behind it. Absolutely, I agree. And that one, all right? And that one. But look, quit focusing on the negatives and look at the positives. Doesn't this look good? Like, just look at it. It's fine. You guys are just over there stressing about the dumbest things. These are structural trusses. They're not that important. And you don't even have to have all of these. As a matter of fact, like, look at that one. He's not doing anything, and that's all right. Look, these trusses are built by imperfect people. I don't know why you would.
Tile work, right? Nice. You're wondering why this house didn't sell. I mean, you got a really nice master bathroom in here, and
Just wonder how did that pass
and,
the plumbing
great
rough-in
tile work,
inspection?
right? Nice,
You know, like, how did the plumbing inspector not flag that? And that's why I tell you, some of these inspectors are on the payroll. Okay? Because how does that pass? All the plumbing is in the exact same spot. The pipes come up the wall probably in the exact same spot. Or somebody actually wanted it over there, but I don't think they wanted it over there, because who wants it over there? All right, comments down below. What are your thoughts? Have you seen some of this? Have you bought a new build? Tell us your thoughts in the comment section. That way everybody in the comment section can learn from you, and we can learn from each other, have some discourse. But these are the main things about a new build. Treat it just like an older house, like any house. Make sure you mitigate the risk in the deal. You have your own representation. You have your own home inspector. And many a times these home inspectors have inspected many of the houses in that neighborhood, and they know what to look for. Like, hey, this builder is known for this, or for this being wrong. Or on this street, I saw a lot of this. Or in this area, we saw a lot of termite. You mitigate risk by inspecting. Mold inspection, because most of this lumber is sat out in the rain for a while, and it could have mold in the house. Make sure you get, if you've got any HVAC questions, get an HVAC guy to go in there and look at it. Make sure you notate everything in writing, and if it's not said in writing, it didn't happen in real estate. That's the way that world works. Make sure you understand the contract and your agent understands the contract, because it's probably going to be different than a normal real estate contract. Don't let this be the first deal that agent's ever done, okay? Make sure you get an experienced agent. Make sure you don't forego the termite, wood rot, fungus inspection. Okay, make sure, because termites do eat wood, especially young wood, and they can't eat it fast, and you don't want to have to mitigate that later. Once you get your documentation, go back to the builder immediately before closing. Fix all these problems before closing. But then if it spills over to afterwards and you didn't see it until after closing, like let's say a roof leak or something, then you get to them immediately before whatever that warranty period is, first year or whatever. But that's all I got, everybody. I wanted to walk you through this because this video needed to be made. And if you're looking to buy or sell real estate, I'd be happy to help you. If you're looking for an agent anywhere in the country, I'd be happy to find you one. And if you're on the Gulf Coast of Florida, Alabama, and you're looking for a real estate agent, I'd be happy to represent you. My email is down below in the description box, and I'll probably put it in the comments thread. And let me know if you got any questions. Did my best to go over this thoroughly, but it's really a methodical process. Try to educate yourself as much as possible about a house prior to going into buying a house. You want to know the parts of a house and how it all works. And go and check out that builder to make sure they got good reviews. They all have a reputation, and they have that reputation for a reason. There are good builders out there. Just got to do it right. I'll see you guys in the next video.